Welcome back to the Build Perspective, and in this installment is our Chinese New Year edition. Our topic today will be on Feng Shui. Now, many people wonder if this is some sort of divination methodology or religious practice. So we are here today to find out as we dive deep with Master Desmond Ng, founder of DN Academy, where we are filming at right now. So Desmond has more than 20 years of experience and is bilingual. He is the regional president of the International I Ching Institute of Singapore, and he holds a doctorate in I Ching leadership. He's an expert in Chinese metaphysics, Feng Shui, 8 characters or 八字, feet readings, I Ching divination, and crystal metaphysics. He is a well-known Feng Shui advisor to an increasing number of companies and individuals in financial firms, F&B businesses, insurance agencies, retailers, and CEOs. His clientele is not only based in Singapore, but also in Indonesia, China, Middle East, Europe, Australia, Canada, China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. So personally, I've known Master Desmond for about 8 years, and I have consulted him on several decisions over the past decade. He's a mentor to me and has helped me in my personal growth throughout the years. So thank you for coming on the show today. You have a well of knowledge I know the world needs to drink from. So are you ready to start pouring it out?
Oh, yes. First of all, thank you for having me here. I'm not going to explain myself anymore. And then Garrick has explained everything already. Yes.
Yeah. So before we begin, we hope you give us a subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. Okay? Master Desmond. So a lot of people, when they hear the word Feng Shui, they think about superstition, religion, woo-woo, you know? So could you explain to the audience what is Feng Shui actually about?
That's actually a quite interesting question, which I do get all the time when I see clients, especially corporate clients who have never come in contact with Feng Shui. So let's talk about Feng Shui. We have 2 sides of it. You have the mathematical side, which is a non-religious, nothing, but just mathematics based on Chinese mathematics. And that is to calculate, for instance, where the qi is flowing and how does it affect the person staying inside there. So that's one part of it. Of course, during the course of history, other elements have been put in, whatever can affect the element called qi, right? So religion comes in some practices or some practitioner. So that's how religion in it. And fortunately or unfortunately, people have mixed it up and hype it up, you see, and therefore people may tense that Feng Shui is tied to religion. So strictly speaking, they don't. They are independent of each, but one the other can affect each other. Yeah. So that's the interesting part of it.
I think generally when people come to a place, they can feel the energy. Is qi related to this energy? Is it exactly the same thing?
So we ask ourselves, so is this something that is natural phenomenon or that is something we experience by deliberately? Well, we live in a world, whether we observe it or not, some places just don't grow. For instance, plants. In a certain location of the house, no matter what you do, how much fertilizer you put in, how much sunlight you put in, the plants doesn't grow. So something must be there, right, isn't it? Why it doesn't grow? So some houses that you go, strangely, it will turn moldy most of the time. But some houses, places that you go, the wall doesn't turn moldy. Of course, people explain look, there's a place with a lot of humidity by virtue of its location, by virtue of its amount of light that it comes in, and therefore the place it is what it is, right? So that to us is a study of Feng Shui. You see, so in scientific terms, we gather all this knowledge over thousands of years into mathematical model and calculation that we can therefore determine through calculations, well, how does this place behave, and what happened to the person if it stays in there, for instance.
But we are always talking about balance when it comes to energy, right? You can't always have the good things. In fact, these like moldy places, for example, they have a lack of conducive environment for growth. There are specific uses for it. Am I right to say? For example, having a wine cellar. That will help, right?
Well, you touch a good point. So is there such a good space and bad spaces, or is it how you use the spaces, right?
Yes.
So, yeah. Of course, we determine a good space and bad spaces. That's a thing to use. So as a way to say that, look, the good spaces are for growth. The bad spaces, inverted commas, are places that we put, for instance, wine cellar, TV. So you, in that way, you turn the good spaces into good use of it.
Right.
And that tells us where are the placements of items. So where should one put whatever is living to be there, for instance, your pets, your plants, yourself, right? So the non-living, where should you put for the cupboards, the TV? So the good spaces and bad spaces are the places that we determine where are the items are to be placed, right? So usually we put electronics at the bad spaces, right? The good spaces to be used by, yourself, the owner, or the pets they're looking at.
So when we translate the word feng shui, it actually means wind and water.
Yes.
So is it known as the environment? Is that what wind and water means?
So literally speaking, this term wind and water don't come into late, Earlier times is known as wind and water feng shui. It's known as kan yu xue. Literally simply means I go to the location and look for a place where I can live, where I can farm, and of course live comfortably and grow. That's how it was evolved. Of course, eventually become feng and shui, because determines feng it simply means the qi, right? Shui means the vessel which be how you bring the qi to the house. So you go back all the way back, it's feng shui simply means a place that we need to find that we can live and prosper. Right? That's kan yu xue. To its current form, whereby, I want to be my objective is to prosper, for instance. So let's do something to the house where I invite prosperity in. I want for health, for instance. I do something to the house, and therefore I get help in my health. I meet better physicians, I meet better doctors. I meet very good people who leads me to the path of health. So in short, as we progress in society, it becomes we call it objective design system. Whatever you want, right? So you just design based on that. And of course, that design concept is based on feng shui concept. Yeah.
So is it true when some people, they mention, hey, I live in such a small apartment, I can't even do anything to it?
Yeah.
Is that a factual statement? Or can we actually do something about even a shoebox space?
Yeah. This is a question that I often get. So how small that we can't do, and what size onwards can we do the feng shui that we have that reaped quite good benefits, right?
Or even limitations to the surroundings of this dwelling.
Yes. So let's look into what does affect feng shui. Is it the place? Is it the house that we stay in, the size, or is it what is affecting outside the house? So we have two elements. One that we pay attention is what is outside the house. In other words, what is in front of us, what is in the back of us, what is the right, what is the left. That will determine where the location that I stay is going to be good or not to begin with. Then after assessing the location, we will therefore go into the place of one stay or the office, and therefore assess the inside of the place that's being stayed. Is that, when there are good locations or directions in the external environment, does the location that one stay or you stay does tap into that to invite the good qi from the good location? If there's outside, there is, we call it undesirable form. Does the house or the office that you are in deflects away that bad location or that bad direction? That is the assessment. That's the interaction between outside and inside. So external environment, internal environment. Now comes back to the internal environment. Now, how much you can enhance or invite the good qi into the house, it all depends on how much you have within the house. Size matters in that way. Yeah. So of course, a small house only has small vessels of qi. The big house is the big vessels of qi. The more possibilities will be in a larger house. The lesser possibilities on a smaller house. Now, if you got a practitioner to select the house for you, for instance, maybe a smaller house already, that could have mitigated. For instance, if you choose a direction of the house that face the good external environment already, so you have more than half a battle won. However, if somehow one have chosen a location, I think the location is not so good, and the unit they choose somehow face those bad elements, then they have very little room to move if the house is too small.
What are the examples of these bad elements?
Well, the common ones you have, we call it the corners of the other houses are facing you. And the other one is, which is quite hard to tell. Somehow we are staying in an environment, especially in Singapore, like Hong Kong, isn't it? Where the houses tend to be a bit close. And we are seeing a lot of buildings and even condominiums or even HDB flats, right? They're building full glass window. Here comes the issue. You have reflections from the sun.
Yes.
So a certain day of the year, or certain time of the year, or certain day of the day, the sun may just reflect into, let's say, the living room, right? So that creates, we call it an undesirable element.
So it's like an unnatural light, would you say?
It's a natural light, but create a sachi. That's the term that we use. So that's an undesirable, a glare, something which we do not like. Yes. So that's also
it means that your house receives more sunlight than it naturally should.
So the question is, when is sunlight good and when is sunlight bad, right?
Oh.
When there is a reflection, we normally do not like it. Yes. Yeah, we of course the natural sunrise, the kind of sun is not considered. But if it's a reflection, therefore it's not good. It's bad. Yeah.
Okay, so some of our audience, I'm very sure you guys do this, right? Like they select the handphone numbers based on magic numbers or unit numbers or even postal code readings. Can you tell us something about this?
I mean, I think there was a trend we talk about, what is your lucky number, isn't it? In inverted commas. Yeah, I mean, so do Chinese have lucky numbers? Yes, we do. All right. But our mathematics is a bit different. It's not the Pythagoras way of calculating. We got the 9-number system. So Chinese mathematics, we have 10-number system, 12-number system, 8-number system, 9-number system. We also have binary, you see. So the lucky number is based on we call it 9-number system. And from the birth chart, we actually calculate that lucky number. So that lucky number, of course, ideally, if I choose a house, I would like to have that lucky number with my house number, or could be my lucky number that is reflected on the floor. The floor that we are saying, or my car plate, right? Or, of course, my handphone. Yeah. Ideally, here we do. Yes.
Okay, so when we talk about these magic numbers and choosing the floors, some of our viewers will say, hey, pantang or superstitious.
Yes.
So how do you think we can show our audience that these things do come into consideration and makes a difference?
Okay, so when we are so-called lucky, right, or you notice a lot of good things are coming to you, you notice 1 or 2 particular numbers keep repeating. Keep repeating it. That gives you a sense of what the lucky number is. Yes. That probably you can we call it do a study or an experiment, right? You when you find out, you come across winning a prize, may not be a lottery, could be a small prize, could be a lucky draw. Do take note of the day the time, the day and the time, note the numbers, and the floor they were in. And when they repeated over maybe 20 events or 30 events, you notice a certain number will keep appearing. That probably is your lucky number.
Okay, so you have to do a live reading for me right now because I see the number 214 many times over.
Oh, okay.
So the things that happen, or the person or someone calls me at the right time is 214, 14 February, or it's always 21 and 4 or 214. It's always one of these combinations.
So if you keep, for instance, yourself, right? If you see the word the number 14 keep occurring, isn't it? So your lucky number will probably be 5.
Right.
Yeah. Based on the 9-number system.
And where does the 2 come into play here?
Which one? Which 2?
214.
So if let's say 214,
yes.
2000, 214. If 214, then it's a bit different, Then of course you have to go by the 9-number system and you see what is the remainder. So that will be your lucky number. Yeah.
Okay. So I will dive down next into religion.
Yes.
Okay. So we understand astrology is universal.
Yes.
It's not just based in Chinese culture. The Arabs, the
yeah.
Indians used to have this way of reading stars and charts. So why is it then Feng Shui is specifically tied down to the Chinese culture?
You mean astrology or astronomy?
This one will need you to
okay.
explain. Thank you.
Which I think a lot of people do mix up the two. Astronomy is just a reading of the stars, all right, the seasons, stars, and everything. So Feng Shui has a lot got to do with astronomy, right? Because that determines the seasons of the year, the length, the amount of daylight, and the amount of the length of nightlight. All right. Now, you must understand that when once upon a time when we built a house, we don't have heater. I mean, heater is a luxury, right? It's quite a modern thing. So we need to build a house where to contain as much heat as possible because of winter. Those who are in the south, we would prefer to build a house that is as cool as possible. That had to base on the movement of the sun, isn't it? That's astronomy. So in Feng Shui, we deal a lot with the astronomy because you need to calculate the position of the sun. And of course, we stay at the equator. We're quite fortunate, as long as south facing, we get a lot of less sun in the house. But if you are staying somewhere up north, for instance, that can be undesirable because the house is always cold. And of course, that's not desirable for those who were staying there. So again, that's astronomy. So the astrology part comes in, but that is more of the metaphysics. And that's where we're going to determine how the house is being done. The astrology would start to come in, right? The astrology in Feng Shui is manifest as, we call it the 24 directions, which is one of the 24 mountains. So you manifest as that, and therefore that's the astrology part. So back to your question. So how does other cultures do affect us? Well, we had to go back to the Silk Road, right? So a lot of the methods come in terms of astronomy and astrology. Big part of it comes from the Indian astrology. Big part of it. Of course, we mix with our own and we discover on our own through many, many years of study. And of course, we have our own Feng Shui system as our current system now. Yeah. So it has undergone through a lot of studies and research. We are looking at least 3,000 years of that. There used to be a department in the dynasty who study all this, all right? And they will record all this down. And of course, through the course of time, it changes, you see. So this knowledge was only been accessible to the public is only shortly after the Qing dynasty. Yeah.
Okay. So are there different styles or schools of Feng Shui? Because I think what we have heard so far, you have I Ching, you have Qi Men Dun Jia, you have, I do not know how many others.
Plenty, isn't it?
Plenty.
Yeah.
Why are there so many different methods and what is accurate? Because I think a lot of people, they go online, they put in their birth date, they get something, and compare it to another website or when they consult a different master, bulk of it, 80% is quite similar. But the 20% is, I think, where the difference is.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes maybe they get the birth date wrong or the latitude wrong or the gender wrong. so they kind of have a different reading. So how do we know which one is right for us? Okay, I wouldn't say which one is the best right now, because that will create a lot of problems here. But which one do you think that we should resonate with?
So we should ask ourselves, how does it all begin, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. What was there, out there, before whatever we have now? So Feng Shui was begin as a place that we observe the position of the sun, how does it go, airflow and everything. So it was without the compass. I mean, just everything, just by visual, isn't it? Right. So that's way before, So the Han Dynasty, way before, way pre-Han Dynasty, and that's where we use the eyes to look at it. We call it Wan Tu Xue, like technically it's form school. All right. Eventually, we discover, there's a compass, you see, that can read the magnetic differences in that. So we begin to use compass. Our compass was very primitive then. It floats on water and it determine in order to carry that compass around, a lot of apparatus. We need to come in. And bear in mind, at the point in time when we use compass, we use lodestone, natural magnet, highly inaccurate, and it's vulnerable, and etc. So, of course, that may be the sense that, then the form school will become more popular. That means by visual of the eyes, the directions, a very little bit of directions, you tell the function. Eventually, technology gets better. All right? Our compass gets smaller, the needles get accurate, so the industrial age does help us. So a Feng Shui compass, you will see a very fine compass right in the middle. That is not a Chinese thing.
Oh,
there's a result. No. The fine compass is a result of the Western Industrial Revolution. They string the compass into one needle. Hence, the modern compass that we have today, the one right in the middle of the compass, is a Western invention. All right. Whatever is beyond that is, of course, is the Eastern, is a very Chinese thing. So we combine the two. So then, the part on Li Qi, which means how we see the energy flow and everything, becomes more accurate. And with that more accurate of determining the reading, the other schools will start to become more popular. So it begins with a lot more on the form school than the Li Qi school, right? Li Qi means the energy school. So eventually, as technology gets better and better, the Li Qi becomes more and more popular, you see. And therefore, then in the end, there's always a blend. So now, when does Li Qi becomes an awareness in Feng Shui compared to the form? So way back in the dynasty, all right, the Song dynasty, so the Feng Shui master realized that, if I just determine the form, why, if it's good, certain years are just bad? All right, it just doesn't work. So they recognize there's something beyond what you see through the eyes that affects the dwell. And that's where the idea of Li Qi, that means the energy part of it, starts to come in. You see, so that part of it, so it becomes, of course, more and more research, more and more studies went in as our compass get better and better, and hence our knowledge today.
So does that mean that the form school and the Li Qi school of thought has branched into?
Then you have two schools, and of course you have a school that makes 综合, right? Like I myself is 综合. That means we look at both. You look at either one is not comprehensive, you see. So from there you branch out to many others. So just so many. I mean, yeah.
But it's not something like we can just take the average, right? Like the mean. Is that something that we do?
So the question is, whom do we go to, right? The form school or the part that reads the energy school? So I think it all depends on the person who want to consult a practitioner, right? Some feel more comfortable with this practitioner who's using this method, and it helps, right? So, and therefore and therefore it goes. So there's no right and wrong in the world of Feng Shui. Whatever works for that person who want to consult a practitioner. Yeah. And the practitioner themselves, himself or herself, may use just the Li Qi, which is just the energy part of it. Some may just use the form. Yeah, I do encounter that also. Some may use both, like myself. So if you say what works for one may not work for the other, that's the way Feng Shui works, Yes. All for one may not be, it's unique, you see. So I do not really encourage those who DIY Feng Shui, go to the store and buy a book, and then follow whatever is there, because every house is unique. Every person that stays in the house, that's another permutation. The person stays in the house, and therefore it becomes a unique combination. So that whatever is recommended in the book for the year, for instance, to put, may not be suitable for you in that space that you are in. There's also an interaction, yes.
Can you also give us a brief description of the compass that we use, like the law of Pan right behind you?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what is written on it? Because there's a lot of words, there's a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
So how do we roughly use
These
it?
are very good.
Yes.
So compass come in many rings. Yeah. So you have, what does the rings represent, right? Yeah. What does the ring represent? So there are actually mathematical formula. Feng Shui mathematical formulas. Depends on the practitioner what is on what formula he or she wants to use. So for me, I use a 33 ring compass. Each represents a different formula that I use. Technically, you have 3 rings that are very important. One that reads the direction, which is 24. Water they read. Once they read the flow of the qi, where do they comes in? That means the flow of water. Where do they coming from? From external. One reads, what if there's a building in front of you? Is that building good for you or bad for you? So basically, these are the 3 main rings. Coupled with, of course, you have the outer compass, the ring. You talk about the stars, where they're located, And so different practitioner will have different compass. It's technically we're carrying a feng shui book in a compass. It's all formulas.
So you're saying other schools of Feng Shui, they use the different rings to read a space.
So,
Is that it?
For instance, right,
Yeah.
I might be carrying a different compass from another practitioner, let's say A, right? A may carry a different compass from me.
But how is it different? Do they manufacture it themselves or how?
Oh,
How do you end up
so
differently?
we normally goes to a manufacturer and say, look, I want my compass to only have this particular rings on my compass. That's how it works, Yeah. So in other words, a compass is usually customized to a practitioner. At least for my case, I can't speak for the rest of the practitioners. So I'm very particular what's on my compass. Is what I need to use most of the time. And I have 2 sets of compass. One's to read graveyards and goes to the grave or monuments. One that reads for the living, the offices, houses, towns, and everything. Yes.
Could you tell us what is the difference when you use these 2 different compasses for these 2 different types of landmarks?
Good. So technically, they're both what is in the ring is the same. All right. Just that we do not mix the 2 compasses. The one that we bring to the grave, which is called inside, right? That's something we don't bring it to the living, and vice versa. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for watching. We have come to the end of this Feng Shui special. Please give us a subscribe. It gives us great pleasure to continue putting out great content for you. With that being said, we have added Desmond and Dian Academy's details in the description. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions regarding today's topic. And also, if you want a personal consultation for yourself, please give him a call. And I wish you a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.